you can draw this landscape in Procreate. I'm sure that you can draw this landscape. All you need is Procreate 5 and the brushes that are already in the app. Before we begin, I want to thank you all for sending in your artworks through Instagram of the previous tutorials. It was really overwhelming. There were so many. If you want to see your artwork in my next video, then be sure to share your work on Instagram and tag me in the image. That way I will be able to find your work. And maybe you'll see your work in the next You Can Draw This video. Let's get started drawing this landscape. And like I said, all you need are the free brushes that come with Procreate. And I will guide you through all the steps and tell you everything I'm doing so you can do the same thing while following this tutorial. First, our canvas. I have made a canvas of 3000 by 2000 pixels. So just make a canvas that is the same size, so that way you can use the same brush sizes as well. First thing we'll do to make this landscape is we'll grab an airbrush. And you can find it here under airbrushing, and we'll pick the soft brush. I have made a palette for you, a color palette. And if you want to use the exact same colors I'm using in this video, then you can download it through a link in the description. We'll start our painting by making a gradient in the sky. We'll go to layer 1. You can just click here on these two squares, go to layer 1, and we will fill it with this very light blue first. And you can do that by dragging the circle onto your canvas. And let's make it a bit smaller by pinching. And we had just selected an airbrush, and we will pick, let's pick this very dark blue here. And we will make horizontal strokes at the top of the sky. And my brush size is 36% right now. Just gently glaze. The opacity of the brush is set to, let me see, 26%. So you can make multiple strokes before it'll be completely opaque. Now we'll go to this lighter blue and make some strokes with that. You can make the brush a bit smaller, let's say 25%. And just make some horizontal strokes. And let's go to that lighter blue. Let's add just a little bit more of that darker blue with our brush size at 35%. Let's add some dark blue here in the left corner. Maybe some here. Make it a little bit darker. This will be our night sky. And now we'll go to smooth this gradient even more. We will go to this magic wand here and go to Gaussian blur. That way we can, well, the word is saying it, we can blur our image. You can do that by sliding to the right. Now let's go, you can see the percentage here, let's go to 10% or around 10%. And now our gradient is looking even softer. Let's start adding the mountains to our image. We will do that with a brush that is under calligraphy. That's the monoline brush. And I have set the streamline to 30%. You can go there by just clicking your brush and adjusting your streamline. And we will use this dark color here. And my brush size is set to 1%, so it's very small. So we've got our monoline brush, and now make sure that you make a new layer on top of our gradient. So you go to these little squares and click the plus to make a new layer. And I will start making those mountains way in the back of our mountain scene. And we'll start drawing the mountains just below halfway of our painting, and we'll just make some random mountain shapes with some wiggly lines. And you can look up some photos of mountains to get some inspiration, or you can just follow my example. I'm making these really small wiggly wiggles. Oh. Make sure that you don't leave any gaps in your line, because once we're at the other end, we will fill our mountains. And you can do that again by dragging this color into your shape. So now we have our mountains way in the back. Next step is to add some mist. And again, we will make a new layer by clicking the plus. And we will go back to our soft brush, which is under airbrushing. And let's pick this nice purplish color. And we will start making horizontal strokes to add some mist. The brush is way too big right now. Let's try 10%. Yeah, that is nice. Just make some horizontal strokes. My opacity is still, it's at 27%. So that's pretty low. So you can make multiple passes and slowly build up that mist with some horizontal strokes. Now, to keep things organized, let's group these two layers. Let's group these mountains and the mist that is in front of it. So you have this mist layer selected, and now just swipe to the right and then select group. Now these two are grouped. So that way we'll just keep things organized in our layer menu. Let's click plus because we are going to make a new layer again. And we'll also go back to that monoline brush. And we'll pick this dark color again, because we are going to make more mountains. And we will start a bit lower than our previous mountains, and again make some wiggly shapes, some random mountain shape. And we'll go down here and then up again for some higher mountains here. Go up a bit here. Maybe go even a bit higher than that mountain in the back until we are on the other side, and we can drag the color in again to fill our mountain. And then it's time to add mist again. So we will make a new layer on top of our mountain layer that we just made and go to airbrushing again to grab the soft brush. And of course our light purple. And again, we will make these horizontal strokes to add mist in front of these mountains. And especially here, we want to cover that area. We just want to see the mountains sticking out of that mist. And still, our opacity is very low at around 26%. So you can just glaze and gently, slowly build up that mist. There, now it really looks like that mist is all around that mountain. Let's move forward again. Let's first group these layers. So we have layer 6 selected, and then swipe right here and select group to keep everything organized. Now we'll click the plus again to make a new layer, and we will go to calligraphy again and monoline to make even more mountains. So we'll pick the dark color again. Let's make a lower mountain here in the front. We'll start just about here and make a random mountain shape again. And we'll go down here. And a little bit further, we will go up again and make another pretty low mountain. And I'll make these little wiggles when making my line. There. Now we can fill these two shapes by just dragging the color. There. And let's also add a little mist to these mountains. So again, we'll click the plus to make a new layer and go to airbrushing and pick our soft brush once more and go to this purple color. Just add a little bit of mist here. Just a little bit, glaze it on top with a low opacity, still at around 26%. Next step is again to group these two layers by swiping right on that other layer and then select group. And we'll make a final mountain layer to add 2 more mountains in front. That way we will create some depth in our painting. We'll go to calligraphy again and select the monoline brush. And we will pick a darker color now, this one next to the orange, for our mountains in front. Let's start on this side. I'd like to start just about here and go in front of that back mountain as well and cover some parts. Again, just make a random shape, and we'll also go in front here. And this gives a nice depth to our scene by adding these dark silhouettes in front. Drag the color in again, dragging that circle. There. What I would like to do now is add some texture to our mountains. So we'll go back to our first group, which is way below here, and open it up. And we will make a layer above our mountain layer. So click the mountain layer and then click the plus to make a new layer. And click the layer that you just made and select clipping mask. By using clipping mask on this layer, anything that you will paint on this layer will only be showing up on the pixels that are on that layer below. So you will only see paint on the mountains, which is super handy. Let's just do it so you can see what happens. We'll go to the textures brushes and we will select Dove Lake. And we will use this nice blue color and we will just gently glaze over our mountains. Let me see the size of the brush. That's 15% right now. And just gently glaze over the tops of the mountains. I really like this new brush that came with Procreate 5. It gives a really nice texture to our mountains. Don't go overboard, just a little bit of texture is enough. Just go over these tops. And we'll do the same for the mountains in front. So now we have to go, we can close this group, we can go to the group that is on top, open it up, select the mountain layer and then click the plus to add a new layer. Click on this new layer and select clipping mask again. So our texture will only show up on our mountains. Again, just go over the tops to add some slight mountain texture. And finally, let's go to the next group. So we'll close this one and then we go to this one, open it up by clicking the little arrow, click your mountain layer, then click the plus to make a new layer, click that one and select clipping mask again. And we'll just add some slight texture to these mountains as well. Next, let's imagine that there is a little town or village in the valley and it's dark outside, so everyone has their lights turned on, which will give a nice orange warm glow. We will add that by, well, let's first close this group. We'll go to our group in the middle here, open it up, and then we'll make a new layer above our mist layer. So let's click the plus and we will set this layer to another layer blending mode. You can do that by just clicking on that N and then go to add. We'll set this layer to add and we will pick the airbrush, our soft brush, and we will use this orange here to add a warm glow to our mist. Let's just gently glaze over this area and slowly build up some warm light. Also some here. As if the light that is shining from the houses of people and maybe the street lanterns are passing through that mist, giving a nice warm glow. We can also do that to the mist in the back, maybe add a little bit of warmth there as well. And that is our layer at the bottom, our group at the bottom, of course. So we'll make a new layer above that mist layer as well by clicking the plus and then clicking the N to set this layer to add as well. And still using that orange, I'll set my brush to 7%, just adding a slight glow there because maybe there is a little village there as well. And let's also add a little bit of glow here in the front. So we'll have to go to our top group to do that. Again, go to the mist layer in this group, click the plus and set the layer to add by clicking on that, well, what used to be an N and now it's an A from add. And let's just glaze over this little area here to add some more warm glow and maybe a bit here as well. That's looking good, but I also want to add some little lights that are shining in our village or city here in the valley. And we'll do that by using the soft airbrush here. So using our soft airbrush, we will go to the layer that is in the middle of the group and go to that glow layer again, which is set to add. And our brush is set to 5% and our opacity is at 100%. So it's a pretty small brush, and we'll set the color of this brush to this bright yellow to add some random shapes here in the valley. Just some circles and small lines to give the suggestion that there is a village or city here. Next, I would like to add some more orange glow on top of this. So we'll make a new layer by clicking the plus and setting this to overlay. You can scroll down and find it here, overlay, and we'll pick the orange color again. And we will set our brush to the soft brush again. And let's glaze over this area a bit to warm it up and give it this nice orange glow. I think the valley and the mountains look great now, so let's continue to working on our night sky. First thing we'll do is add some stars. We'll do that by using the glimmer brush. If you click the glimmer brush, you can adjust the settings a bit. I have set the spacing to max, the jitter to max, and under shape, you can also find scatter. I have set that to max as well. And we will use this light blue. And let's start adding some stars. But of course, we need to make a new layer for that. So we will go all the way down to layer 1 and make a new layer on top of it. Let's set our brush to 7%. And the opacity is at 100%, and let's start making some stars. And I'll just make these long horizontal strokes, adding all these little stars. And to give this starry sky some more depth, I would like to duplicate these stars and make them smaller. So those will be the stars that are even further away. Or is it farther away? Well, anyway, we'll make them smaller. And we can do that by copying this layer. And we'll do that by swiping down with 3 fingers. And then use copy and paste. And now while our selection, our transform tool is at uniform, we can make these smaller and put them here, for example. Click that arrow again, and now we can swipe down with 3 fingers again to copy this layer that we had just made smaller. So swipe down with 3 fingers, use copy and paste, and move this one around to there, and then click the arrow again. Now let's do that again. Maybe we can just merge these two, these smaller stars that we just made, by pinching these 2 layers together. And then again, swipe down, use copy and paste, and put them here. Now we have quite a lot of stars. Let's merge them by squeezing them together. And let's add some more. Let's make the brush a little bit bigger. Let's try 15% and add some more bigger stars. Now we'll also go to 30% to make some stars that are even brighter. And I also want to draw the Milky Way. And when you look at the Milky Way, you will see a lot of stars, more stars than you can see anywhere else in the night sky. So we'll make the brush a bit smaller again, let's say 10%. And let's draw extra stars diagonally from this side of our canvas all the way up here. Lots of stars. There, I think that's enough. Finally, let's add some colorful nebula-like clouds in our Milky Way. And we'll do that with the nebula brush. And you can also find it under luminance, just like the glimmer brush. It's below that. And let's make a new layer. And we will set this layer to add, just like we did with the glow in the valley. But before we start using our brush, first we'll click our brush, our nebula brush, and then we will go to rendering and then to blend mode and make sure that it's set to normal. You can just click it and move through all these blend modes, and we will set it to normal. And then click done, and you're ready to go. We will pick this blue here first. And the brush size is set to 7%. And let's just make a diagonal stroke gently. Opacity is set to 76%. And just make some nice clouds up here in the sky. Now let's do the same with this pink here that is in the palette. And remember, you can just download the palette for free through the link in the description. Now, if you are enjoying tutorials like this one, narrated tutorials in Procreate, then you might like my Patreon page where I share even more fully narrated tutorials. So if you want to learn more, consider checking it out. You might like it. Let's also go to this orange and just a little bit of orange light. You can just go wild with your Milky Way. I want to add just a little bit more blue with this blue here. Just one last thing, I would like to add some more saturated blue to our night sky here at the bottom. So I'm gonna make a new layer above our colored gradient layer. And I will set it to overlay right here. And grab the soft brush, which is under airbrushing. And we'll pick this bright blue and have our brush set to 15%, and we'll just glaze over this area over the horizon to make it look a bit more saturated, because that fits that nice Milky Way a bit better. There! We are all finished. Congratulations on making a beautiful mountain scene with a Milky Way in the sky. I'm looking forward to seeing your results on Instagram so I can share them in the next video. Make sure that you tag me in the image so I will be able to find your work. And I will see you next time for the next You Can Draw This video.